everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera Show. We're at the cottage today and I'm so excited to continue with our Southern ingredients and Southern techniques. You know, we've done pecans, we've done bacon, and today we're going to do apples. You know, there's so many ways to cook apples. You can stew them, you can cook them down, you can put them in a pie, a cake, or a cobbler. So today I've got 3 great recipes, 3 different reasons to use apples. We're going to start with an appetizer. We're going to do an apple chutney and do a bruschetta out of it. It's going to be so delicious. And then what about a 1-pan pork chop with apples and onions? It's such a delicious and beautiful entree, but you only mess up 1 pan. And then finally for the dessert, we're going to do an apple butter pound cake with a caramel frosting. Wow, the finale is going to be fantastic. And in Vera's Corner today, we're going to do apple chips and show you some different ways to use them for snacks. So we've got a lot to do. I'm ready to get my apron on. Let's get in the cottage. Okay, you know, the old saying is that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. We're all going to be so healthy after all of these delicious recipes made with apples. It's just a great fall ingredient. There's so many different varieties. And we actually have a little mini that we're going to run that gives you some tips on which apple to use for which dish in terms of which variety would work the best. So this is a apple chutney, and just getting this prepared in my cast iron skillet, the aroma is so great. There's so many different colors and flavor combinations in this. So let me start by telling you what I've gone ahead and prepared. So I had a little bit of olive oil in my cast iron skillet. I've added to that some diced onion, and you want to get that good and sauteed around. You want the onions to be nice and translucent. So just stir with a wooden spoon while you're working with that. And then I added freshly grated ginger, and you want to do this right at the last minute, right before you get ready to add it to the dish, so you really have that flavor in place. And then minced garlic, of course, is another ingredient that works really well with presenting other flavors and combining those flavors together. Then we added in vinegar, cider vinegar, just got that stirred in, and then brown sugar. And this is where it's going to begin to start caramelizing. That brown sugar will get mixed in really well. The next ingredients is golden raisins. And you know, I'm not that much of a fan of a golden raisin, but you know what? The golden raisin is perfect as a flavor profile here. And then dried cranberries is next. So you've got that mixed in, and then you're going to add in salt and pepper. So now I'm going to turn the heat off, and I don't have to remove my pan at all because the heat immediately goes away on my Wolf induction cooktop. All right, so we're going to add into that some large chunks of apple, some lemon juice, and lemon zest. And here again, you want to do that right at the last minute. And you know, save that lemon, because when you've got garlic and all these other ingredients on your fingers, you can use that lemon to get that off. So now I'm going to turn the heat back up, and then this is going to cook down. So again, this is one of the Southern techniques, is that we like to reduce or cook down some of these vegetables. They'll get nice and soft. All right, so up next, we're going to do a pork chop with apples and onions in another cast iron skillet. You'll have only 1 pan to clean up. So we'll see you back in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. And if you're just joining me, we're on the same plane of doing Southern ingredients and Southern techniques. So this week we're doing apples, and I've gotten an apple chutney made that is going to go on top of toast rounds as a bruschetta. Just delicious appetizer to pass. So I can't wait to share that with you. So now we're going to get started on an entree. This is a pork chop, a really nice thick pork chop that we're going to saute, and we're going to do apples and onions to go with it. So everything you're doing is going to go on in the same cast iron skillet. So I'm on my gas stove today, so I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit on that, and I'm going to speak to what I've done in advance to get ready to prepare this dish. So I've got 3 really nice pork chops, about 1 inch thick, and you want to salt and pepper those. Make sure they're good and dry before you do that. Salt and pepper on both sides. And then I have a little bit of olive oil in my pan, and I just sauteed those about 2 to 3 minutes per side. You just want to get a nice golden brown. Once you've done that, turn the heat off and remove those to a plate. All right, so in this pan that I did this in, I've got some nice crust. Looks really good and seasoned, so you just don't bother that, because you're going to use that again in just a minute. All right, so in this dish, I have chicken stock, and I'm going to add to that a little bit of mustard. And I'm just going to whisk that together. And I'm going to set this aside because this is the last thing that's going in this dish. So I'll put it over here. All right, so now I'm going to just take a little bit of olive oil and add to that same pan, about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Now we've got the star of the show today, some beautiful apples that I've just cut thin. Put those all in the pan, along with some delicious Vidalia onions. Nice sweet onion. So that's going to cook, and this will actually cook down. And you know, that's one of our southern techniques, is reducing or cooking down, as we say in the South, to get these fruits and vegetables really nice and tender. So this will take about 4 minutes. So we're just going to let this cook for a few minutes and get just the right consistency. All right, that looks pretty good, and I can tell you right now that it smells delicious. All right, so now I'm going to add my seasonings to that. We're going to do a little bit of salt, and this is just to taste. And remember, you salted the pork chops, so just a little bit, and pepper. And I like a good bit of pepper. I like to be able to see that in my dishes as well. All right, then we were laughing about the old Simon and Garfunkel song that had sage, rosemary, and thyme. So this has all 3, so maybe you can put that album on while you're cooking. All right, so I've got sage, rosemary, and thyme. And you know, those spices are so wonderful with apples and onions and pork. Okay, so now we're going to take the pork chops and we're just going to nestle them in. Isn't that pretty? And this is why, you know, you can serve it straight from this. Now we're going to pour in the chicken stock and mustard that we did earlier. And then this will continue to cook for about 3 to 4 minutes. And that will be done. And then this is going to be served with a delicious apple cider syrup. And this is just real quick and easy. You're going to combine sugar, cornstarch, cinnamon, apple cider, and lemon juice. And once that's gotten thick, you're going to add butter to it, and then that's just going to be poured on top of this. All right, in Vera's Corner today, we're going to talk about apple chips as a snack. And then the next thing we're going to do is the apple butter pound cake with a great apple butter from Adam's Apple. So come back with me in just a few minutes. You know, they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, I've got a quick and easy trick that will provide a healthy and convenient snack at almost any time. Start with your favorite apple. Any apple will work, but the baking time and taste may vary depending on the type. For a sweeter chip, use Gala or Honeycrisp. For a more tart snack, use Granny Smith. If you want to really switch it up, try a piñata apple for a unique tropical twist. Preheat your oven to 200. Baking at a low temperature allows the apples to slowly lose moisture and prevent burning. Core your apples. This will ensure that you do not have any rough bits or seeds in your chips. Use a mandolin or a very sharp knife to thinly slice your apples to about 1/8 inch thick. The thinner the slice, the crisper the chip. Line a sheet pan with parchment paper and arrange your apple slices. Sprinkle with cinnamon if desired. Bake in your preheated oven for 1 hour, flip and then bake for another hour. If the chips are still not crisp, bake in 15-minute increments until they're ready. These alone make a great snack, or you can drizzle with chocolate for a sweet treat, or steep 2 into a mug with some cinnamon sticks and honey for a fall tea. Enjoy this sweet and crunchy snack. Welcome back, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed Vera's Corner today. Those are some fun things to do with your young person, great healthy snacks. Okay, all about apples today, and I mean, those pork chops smell so fantastic. Just cooking up with those onions and apples, that is really gonna be a great entree. The syrup is gonna be icing on the cake, on the pork chops, I might say. Speaking of cake, we're moving into an apple butter pound cake. And you know, I'm noted for my pound cakes. Our first cookbook is full. There are probably 18 pound cake recipes in there, but I didn't have anything like this. So this has been a lot of fun. And I'm using a secret ingredient today, which is Adams apple butter. And Teresa Adams was on the show with me at one point, and she is just a delight and has a great product. We'll learn more about her in just a few minutes. So let me walk you through what I've already done. I took butter and cream cheese, got that blended together, and of course at room temperature, and then I've added my sugar. Now you're gonna let that go around in your mixer for 20 minutes. And people think that's a misprint in the cookbook, but that is the secret to a fluffy, beautiful pound cake, is the incorporation of the air. I've scraped down the sides, and now I'm ready to take my room temperature eggs and add those in one at a time. And my recommendation here is to use a liquid measuring cup, because you can just easily pour one yolk at a time, and all you want to do is get it broken and then let it spin around for a second. All right, so now those are incorporated. So now we're going to start adding in the flour. And on this, again, I just love to use a dry measuring cup when I'm doing that, so that it, you know, basically by the time you're back in the bowl to get another scoop, it's blended very well. You know, my KitchenAid mixer, and you've seen me use my red one and my silver one and my pistachio colored one. The very first one I ever had, I wanted one so badly that I had a yard sale to get enough money to be able to buy a KitchenAid. And I still have that one. So they last a long time, and they are certainly great if you love to bake. All right, so I'm just about to where I think I could lift this bowl and start adding that in. So that's just a nice creamy batter. And this recipe, most pound cakes have some sort of liquid, whether it's milk, heavy cream, sour cream, but this one, your liquid or your moisture is going to come from the cream cheese. All right, so now I'm going to add my vanilla. I'm just going to get that stirred about. And then let's turn that off and speak to this wonderful apple butter. Okay, so this apple butter is Teresa's from Adams Apple, and you've got to go to her website and read the whole story about how she loved to make apple butter, and then she married somebody whose last name was Adams. So it was meant to be, needless to say. All right, so what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna take about 1/4 of a cup of this batter, and it doesn't matter if it's exact, and I'm gonna add that to the apple butter. Just stir that around. And this is going to be incorporated into the batter in the cake in a beautiful swirl that is just gonna make this the hit of your fall event or a family get-together. It's just perfect. put in some pecans. So now pecans have made their second appearance as a Southern ingredient. All right, so now we're ready to start adding this batter to the pan. So before we get going with that, let me tell you a little bit more about Teresa. Teresa joined me back in season 9 and just introduced us to her company and what she was doing. She's so enthusiastic. She lives over in Lexington, South Carolina, so she's just a little short trip away from me here in Augusta. But her business has grown by leaps and bounds since that time. She is now sold by 800 independent retailers. She moved into a real warehouse. She was doing all of this out of her home. So now she has a warehouse where she can organize and get her shipments ready to go. And she was invited to exhibit at the New York Fancy Food Show this past summer. She's introducing a new product this fall, an apple bourbon honey. And I cannot wait to try that with some of my fall dishes. I hope you'll check her out on her website and also on all of her social media handles. All right, so now we're ready to put this beautiful batter into my prepared Nordic pan. I sprayed it with my Baker's Joy over the sink, and now I'm just going to put 1/3 of this batter into the pan. So you can kind of, just eyeball it, but basically I'm getting one nice layer, and I'll smooth that out. So we're gonna take the apple butter, the Adams apple butter, and I'm just gonna dollop a half of this onto the top of that batter, along with those pecans, and I'll spread that out just a little bit. Now we're gonna do a second row with another 1/3 of the batter. And you see how I'm going one side and then the other side. And you can wipe your edges down before you put it in the oven. Okay, let's spread that around. And I've preheated my oven to 325. And this is gonna cook for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. Okay, the rest of this, oh, it smells so good. Apple butter has so many uses, and this would even be good along with your filling for an apple pie in terms of baking with apples, which is one of our Southern techniques. All right, now I'm gonna top it with the rest of this batter. And remember that the bottom of the pan is the top of the cake. So having more of that filling at what you thought was the bottom is gonna be the top when you invert it. Okay, spread that around. And now this is the fun part. I'm just gonna take my spatula, my metal spatula, and I'm just gonna weave it around to kind of create a swirl, and you want to go all the way to the bottom of the pan. All right, this is going to go in the oven, and when we come back from the break, I'm going to show you how I iced it. We're going to get everything laid out in a beautiful fall presentation, so come on back. All right, well today hopefully did not disappoint, and as we concentrate on Southern ingredients and Southern techniques, the doctor is going to be as far away from you as he can possibly get with all of these delicious recipes made with apples. So let's kind of walk back through what we did today. We started with an apple chutney. We're presenting it today as an appetizer on top of little toast rounds with goat cheese. And you see, you can really see the chunks of apple in that. And it's just a really nice, salty, sweet, and instead of putting greens on the plate, we did really thinly sliced apples, a little extra goat cheese if you want. Just love the way that turned out. All right, the next dish we did was the pork chop. The pork chop just seared up so beautifully in the pan, and as I said, it's pretty enough to serve it directly from the pan. Then we did that fantastic syrup to go on the top, and you know, honestly, this recipe originally stems from a recipe for French toast, and we thought it would be amazing on top of these pork chops, and it is. Okay, so I don't want to say that the star of the show is cake, but you know what? I can't help it. This cake turned out so beautifully. In the oven, when you're cooking one of these pound cakes, you know it's an hour and 20 minutes, but you still want to do the old school method of testing it with a wooden skewer to make sure that it's done in the center. And what you're looking for is no batter on that skewer when you pull it out. And then the other thing I love to look for when I'm making a pound cake is a crown. If you get that pretty crown on the top, it just turns out so well. So we sliced a piece, and as you can see the apple butter. And I certainly want to thank Teresa Adams for her apple butter that she provided today for the show, and just her friendship, and congratulations on the growth of her business. This cake is so moist and delicious. It's just going to be a great fall treat, perfect for a meeting. So just remember that an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and also that no matter what you do it in good taste. You certainly do it in the South with great Southern ingredients and wonderful techniques. I hope you'll come back and join me again next week. See you then.